Hello, 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 and welcome to NJThrives Small Business Webinar. How are you doing? How is everyone doing? Today is Thursday, March 9th, and you are attending a NJSBDC webinar. Before we move anywhere forward, as I mentioned, it is March 9th. That means two things. It's Women's History Month. So to all my women-owned businesses, to all my female counterparts, I'd like to wish happy Women's History Month. And just yesterday, it was International Women's Day. So happy belated International Women's Day. You are attending NJSBDC's weekly webinar created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. So if you've been here before, if you continuously attend our webinars, thank you for all your support. Please continue to attend. If you're new here, you're in for a ride and you're in for a very informational ride. So thank you for attending. Please, if you can hear me, if you can see me, that's awesome. If you cannot, just let us know in the chat below. Please feel free to tell us who you are, where you're coming from, what you do, share your website, your contact information, whatever it is. Give a shout out to your favorite woman-owned business. And if you are one, give a shout out to yourself and tell us what you do. I am your host for today. My name is Uzma Sheikh. And to tell you about who we are, if you don't know already, we are America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. That stands for NJSBDC. We are a statewide program powered by the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with three things and three things only. No cost small business consulting. I read that right. That is no cost, so that means free. I really should take advantage of that. Training and events starting at $0, just like this one that you're attending, and exclusive small business resources. What is on the agenda for today? We'll go over some headlines. So we have some news to share, what's happening in the small business community, anything that happened this week or anything that will be happening in the next couple of weeks. We want to share that with you so you're up to date on all things happening. We'll go to the webinar, and then we will do a quick Q&A. Before we move on to our presentation, we are celebrating, of course, Women's History Month with our special guest today. And we have Nicole Russell from WCEC, that's Women's Business Center, and she is an education and marketing director here with us today, one of our special partners. Thank you, Nicole, so much for attending. I know you have a little presentation for us, so please, I will stop sharing. Please tell us what goodness you had to share.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Let me go ahead and share my screen quickly. All right. Can we see that? Looks like we can.
You're good.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. And thank you to our friends at the SBDC for inviting me and the WCEC. My name is Nicole Russell. I'm the Education and Marketing Director here at the WCEC. And first, just to go off of what Uzma just said, Happy History Month, Happy Women's History Month. Before we jump into the very few slides that I have today, I wanted to just wish everyone a happy Women's History Month. And today, women-owned small businesses are growing at a rate faster than ever, employing more people and impacting a variety of industries. I hope that you'll consider looking up your local New Jersey-based women-owned small businesses and shopping or otherwise supporting them, not just during this month, but all year round. And if you didn't know, you can actually Google the phrase women-owned small businesses near me, and Google's map will populate any businesses that have identified themselves as women-owned businesses within their Google profile. All right, so moving on. Here is our team. You can actually scan this QR code on my screen with your phone's camera app. to populate a link that will take you to my digital virtual business card if you'd like to. I'm also going to make this presentation available to our hosts here at the SBDC. So if anyone would like it, you can always revisit this later. If you attend enough webinars with the WCEC, you'll probably meet all of our staff. Like I said, we're a small staff of 6, and we do all provide different webinars and various one-on-one business counseling sessions as well. You're also welcome to reach out to anyone on our team at any point in time. We are a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, and just like our friends here at the SBDC, we are also an SBA resource partner. So we are part of a national network of nearly 150 independently operated women's business centers. We serve the northern 14 counties of New Jersey, which you can see are highlighted here in purple, so Ocean County and North. Our sister women's business center is located down in Camden at the Latin American Economic Development Association, and they serve Burlington County South. So I'm just going to walk you through very quickly who we are and what we do so you can get to know us a little bit better, and focusing on our 3 main services here, which are classes, business counseling, and panels and networking events. So here is a sneak peek at our class schedule. Every week we're posting new classes, different times of day, different days of the week, and we're always adding to it. We have classes that are, maybe more helpful for those who haven't started yet, just started out, or are growing their business. But what we always like to say is if there's a class that's for a specific level of business ownership, we'll mark that really clearly. So if it's just a topic you want to know more about, revisiting the basics, or getting an idea for more advanced material, you're more than welcome to sign up for anything that you see here. Right now, our classes are scheduled out through the end of March, and we're working our way into April and May. Because of our grant funding, we are able to provide all of our classes for free or low cost. So just as an example, this class on Monday is free, but then you have this class here, pinpointing your brand and target market. That's a $10 class. So definitely just take note when you're signing up for classes to see what that price point is. It's usually $0 to $10. And for our next panel event, we're actually doing a Women's History Month panel that's free on March 31st. It's also virtual on Zoom. And then we have our business counseling. So we have business counseling at all levels of business ownership, again, starting or growing your established business, starting a new business. We help you to define your goals and set up ways to hold you accountable for those goals, check in on your progress, and provide additional resources. You are paired based off of your specific needs or industry, and you always have a free 1-hour consultation to make sure that this method of working on your business is the right fit for you. After that, business counseling is $25 an hour. And then access to lending. Although we do not provide grants or loans directly from the Women's Center for Entrepreneurship, our Women's Business Center, we do help you walk you through that process. And so we have what we call our access to lending program, which we handle through business counseling. And you can see here what we assist you with through that program. This business counseling, I should note, is also free because it is on the topic of financing and funding. So we'll help review options for lending, grants, crowdfunding. We can review your applications, pitch decks, etc. Help you prepare for those meetings with lenders or grantors, and help you with the follow-up process as well. All right, so I promised I would be quick. I hopefully didn't lie. This is my last slide of information on the WCEC. And I'd just like to let everybody know we're not a membership-based organization. We're a nonprofit organization, SBA resource partner. We're here to help you. We have no membership fees. You don't have to join the WCEC. Men can and often do attend our classes and business counseling sessions. So just because it says women in the title of our center, feel free to reach out. We're here to help you no matter how you identify. And if we do have a class or program that's exclusively for women, we will mark that clearly in the program description. So there's no questions on your end, but you can always call us just to check in. And then, do I have to be in your geographic area? No, you don't have to be in our geographic area to attend our classes, but it is best that you find your resource partner or women's business center that is closest to you. And you can do that through this link here. If you go to the SBA's website, their local assistance page and enter your zip code. A map will populate with red dots indicating who is closest to you. And last but not least, for industry updates, relevant information on owning a business, funding opportunities, and also what we're up to and our clients are up to, I would just encourage you to take a peek at our social media and give us a follow if you're interested. And that is all I have.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's always good to have you, NWCC, with us and just show your support and then have us show your support for you guys. So always more than welcome. So hopefully everyone got your contact information, and if they have any questions, then please feel free to let us know. And then we can always just, let Nicole know and have them be answered. And then we'll just send them out via email or publish them on our channels. All right. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to the SBDC.
Of course. Thank you. All right. So I'll go back to sharing my screen. And here we have, we also have a quick word from one of our other partners and biggest supporters, of course. We have NJBAC. From NJBAC, we have Anthony Martinez, an NJBAC small business advocate. Anthony, please go ahead.
Myself here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anthony Martinez, and I'm a small business advocate. And before I go any further, happy Women's History Month to everyone. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the New Jersey Business Action Center. So we operate out of the Secretary of State Department. Within our department, there are 3 offices dedicated to assisting small businesses such as yourself. There's the Office of Business Advocacy that provides site assistance. So if you're a new business looking for a location and you know your specs, let's say you need a garage or a bay or a loading dock, and you know how many square feet of space you need, we can assist, those business advocates can assist with that. Also, they assist with project management assistance and things of that nature. Then where you'll find me is in the Office of Small Business Advocacy. I am the Assistant Manager of Small Business Advocacy for the New Jersey Business Action Center. We provide the site assistance, we provide government assistance. So if the product or service that you're selling requires, if it's regulated by the state and you require a state license, we can assist you with obtaining that license. Also, if you want to do business with the state, obtaining the small business enterprise, the minority business enterprise, the women business enterprise, or the veteran-owned business enterprise, or the disabled veteran-owned business enterprise certification, we can assist with that process as well. And lastly, we help you find financial resources. Now, we're not a lender, we don't have money. Remember, we're a state, but we help you find, those financial resources you need for your business. We have a good working relationship with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, the state lender, and the CDFI micro lenders throughout the state. And then we have our Office of Export Promotion, which is our 3rd office within our department. And they assist you with anything that has to do with exporting. Let's say you want to take your business global. They help you create an export plan. They help you identify global markets. They guide you through foreign custom procedures. And there's also, they have a grant to assist you with attending international trade shows, translating your marketing materials, and also attending international trade shows. I don't know if I said that or not. I'm sorry. Website translations also, they assist with that. That grant can be used for that. And that's the State Trade Expansion Program grant. All right. I have my contact information in the chat. I encourage you to reach out to us. You can reach out to one of our representatives on business.nj.gov. We have a live chat where you can speak with one of our representatives live. And you can also call where you can speak with one of our representatives live. And that's 1-800-JERSEY-7. You can request to speak to me. Also, my email is in the chat as well. And we have representatives that speak in Spanish as well. Hablan español. Le ofrecemos la asesoría en español. All right, so I like to think that we're a one-stop shop. So we provide site assistance, government assistance, financial resources, and we have our Office of Export Promotion to recap. Okay, so reach out to us if you need our help, if we can be of assistance to you. And thanks again for having us. I have to jump off because I have a prior commitment, but thanks again for inviting us, and happy Women's History Month again. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much. And thank you, NJBAC. All right. So as promised earlier, we do have our small business headlines of the week. I know you are all itching to get to the meat of the webinar today, which is our presentation. So I promise I won't take long for the headlines. I do just want to share some since these are important to go through. NJEDA, that's the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, opening Innovation Fellows application on March 14th. So that's next week. This program will be opening at 10 a.m. And according to their information, it says that startup groups of 3 or more members can apply for a 2-year grant, not a loan, a grant, to help start a business in a targeted industry. Of course, since it is a grant, there are requirements, eligibilities that you have to meet. All of it is listed here. All the links, the headlines that I'm sharing right now will be shared in the chat. So just go through the chat and you'll see them there. Another headline, NJEDA to launch a eligibility assessment tool for phase 1 of its cannabis equity grant program, offering grants of $250,000 for qualifying startups. This is huge news because this has been a pilot program and a topic, an industry that has received a lot of attention in the past few years. Again, just remember, it's not a program, it's not a grant, it's an assessment tool. So this will be opening, it already opened yesterday at 9 a.m. Feel free to check it out through the link. And SBA Administrator Guzman announces National Small Business Week 2023. This will be taking place on April 30th and May 6th through May 6th. It features awards, virtual summit, roadshow tour. This is a week that we all recognize, all organizations recognize small businesses and the importance in our economy through events, awards. So it's really special. Look out for events and things of that nature throughout that week from us and our partners throughout the state and nationwide. And last, second annual NJPCC, that stands for New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce, brunch celebrating 10 years. So this will be on March 25th, which is a Saturday. It's an in-person event. So check it out. It's in New Brunswick. All right. And moving on to our webinar is our housekeeping rules. So if you have questions, please let us know in the Q&A section in the bar below. If you put anything in the chat, it'll get lost. So we highly recommend using the Q&A box. If you would like the presentation materials, whether it's from our presenter today or our guest speakers, such as Nicole or Anthony, or our presentation today, just complete the 3-minute survey and it will be the link to the webinar resources will be at the end. And finally, one of our amazing NJSBDC specialty consultants, Ciara, is with us today for the webinar Accounting for Small Businesses Navigating the Financials. Ciara, welcome and thank you for doing this for us. I'll stop sharing my screen. Please go ahead and share your screen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Uzma, for the introduction. I will share my screen now. All right. 1 second here. I cannot see. Okay. All right. Can everybody see that?
You're good. I can see that. Yep.
Great. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Happy Women's History Month. It is an honor and a privilege for me to be here sharing space with you all As mentioned, I work with the NJSBDC. I work with a capital team and in a few of our regional offices, and it is truly a passion of mine to empower our communities through teaching, through one-on-one counseling, but mostly women. Shout out to all the women who are on this webinar today, either with a business that you've established or one that you hope to establish, and also the men on this webinar for supporting women-owned businesses or supporting the women in your life. So I am grateful to be here. I'm excited to share this information with you. I know that accounting is a daunting topic for many people, especially for my business owners. This is usually the last thing you want to focus on, but it is one of the most important things in order to ensure your success. We have a lot of information to cover, so the Q&A will be at the end. Please note that you do not have to have an accounting degree to understand some of these terms and how to apply it to your business. What I would recommend to everyone is, if you are a business in New Jersey, reach out to your local NJSBDC. There's many counselors who are there to be a resource to you for free and can help you understand these concepts, help you work through the challenges you may be facing within your business, or if you want to start a business. So this is a free resource that has been around for 45 years, available to all of our communities. Please use it, please utilize it, because it is to your benefit to help your business grow, right? We shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. We should use the resources that are available at our fingertips. So make sure you stay towards the end of the presentation. We'll give you some more information on how to sign up. And let's get started. As mentioned, my name is Ciara Gutierrez. I have been working with small businesses for over 15 years in a variety of industries. As mentioned also, I am very passionate about helping my community, empowering my community. I am a woman entrepreneur. My mother is a woman entrepreneur who's an inspiration to me. So I do this as a service. I do this because I know it's important. So please commend those people in your life who either started a business or are going to start a business, because it is definitely not for the faint of heart. My business owners out there know that it's very challenging to pursue a dream, but with the right team, with the right resources, everything is possible. So let's get started. All right, so why is accounting so important for your business? First and foremost, we want to make sure we're able to monitor our income and our expenses. So we obviously want to know how much money we're making, right? But we also need to know how much money we're spending. If we don't have a system or some kind of tracking tool, we're not able to really understand where our business stands, right? Also, when creating a business, if you do not have anything or a strategy or a business plan, you're kind of just winging it, right? And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we're prepared. We want to make sure we have numbers that are gonna actually lead us to success. So that's why it's super important to have some kind of accounting method when starting your business or when it's already in fruition, right? Second point is to prevent fraud. Most of us who are business owners are busy. We do not have the time to calculate and crunch numbers. We just want to get to the bottom line. Or there are a lot of business owners out there that are part of a business, but may not be involved in the day-to-day. If you have someone else handling your numbers and you don't really take a look at what's going on, it's very easy to get caught up in fraud. So that's another reason why it's super important to have an accounting method or an accounting strategy within your business. Another point, make better business decisions. If we're not taking a look at our numbers, we're not really understanding, is my business profitable? Is this new product that I launched really working the way I thought it would? Am I spending too much here? Am I overspending in these things that I thought were actually going to give me a better return on my investment? Unless we're informed and have our numbers and our facts laid out in front of us, we're not going to be able to make better business decisions. You know, it's great to have insight and instinct and all of these things, but the numbers do not lie. You want to be very, very familiar with how your business is operating. And that'll also lead you to create new growth strategies, right? If we're analyzing what's happening within our business, if we're looking at what's coming in, what's working, and looking at what's not working, then we can create new growth strategies. And that's the point, right? We want to have a successful business. We want a business that will hopefully expand and create more opportunities, not only for yourself, but for other people. So that is why it's so crucial to really, really take a look at your numbers. And last but not least, everyone's favorite word, taxes. If you do not have a system to keep your numbers organized, if you do not have a system that can answer any questions, if God forbid you get audited, it's going to be a very difficult situation for you. So making sure you're always in compliance. I tell my clients all the time, operate as if you would get audited tomorrow. If you're ready, you don't have to get ready. So having a system that's up to date, of course, with accurate information, will always keep you in the safe zone. All right. So we're going to talk about accounting methods today. There's two different types of accounting methods. There's the cash basis and there's the accrual basis. So the cash basis lets businesses record income and expenses only when they're actually received or paid. So an example of that would be you have a vendor who provides services for you, and they hand you an invoice today, and you pay that invoice today. That would be, all of that transaction would be dated today if you're doing cash basis. The money went out today, everything related to that transaction has the same date, right? When we're talking about accrual accounting, it's a little different. So accrual accounting involves tracking income and expenses as they're incurred, instead of when the money actually changes hands. So using the same example of a vendor invoice, the vendor gave you the invoice today, but it's actually an invoice from 2 weeks ago, right? If we're doing accrual accounting, we would use the date that the expense was incurred, meaning that we would enter that information into our accounts payable register and use the date that the actual expense happened. So if it was 2 weeks ago, we would use that date. If it was today that it was handed to us, doesn't matter. We could pay it today, that's fine, but it would show two different dates. The date when the expense was incurred and then the date when it was paid. If they happen to be the same date, that's fine, but there's just a little bit more work and there's a little bit more of a trail when it comes to doing accruals. This is particularly important for businesses that have inventory or businesses that may have sales that are a little more complicated. For example, if you own a restaurant, you do credit card transactions, that deposit doesn't hit the bank for a couple of business days. So if I'm going just based on my bank deposits, instead of looking at the actual sales, then I would be doing cash basis, right? But if I'm actually doing accruals, that means I would record all of my sales on a daily, weekly, however basis. And that way I can see what my true numbers are. So that's super important. Obviously, there's a simpler way to do things, which is cash basis. And then there's accrual. And we're going to go into the pros and cons in the next slide. A lot of information, guys, I know. Bear with me. Okay, cash basis. So the pros to the cash basis is that it focuses on cash flow. So we're really just utilizing what we have at hand, right? If I have $500 in the bank, that's all I got to spend. That's all the money that my business has for me to utilize. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's not complex. The cons of it is that it does not show you the whole financial picture. So if I'm only going by what I see as my bank balance, then I'm not taking into account maybe the invoices that I have outstanding. If I am, for example, a consultant, I have invoices and my clients are on terms with me. If I'm just going by what's in my bank account versus what I've actually done, I'm not really getting an accurate picture of my business. So that's one of the cons with that. Also, when you are using cash basis, you're not recording your assets and your liabilities. So if I'm just going by a bank statement, it's not telling me any loans that I'm paying, any money I owe, if I have equipment that I own, if I have inventory. Cash basis is very, very limited. So this is often used by sole proprietors or small businesses that usually don't carry inventory, okay? Now, the accrual-based method will give us a complete and accurate picture of our business, and it can't be manipulated. So if we're doing accrual-based accounting, then we're entering all of our invoices regardless of when they were received. We're entering all of our accounts receivable, meaning our invoices that are out to clients regardless of when they're paid. And it'll give us a really accurate picture of where our business is. As mentioned, accounts payable, I've said that a couple of times. For those who are not familiar with what that means, accounts payable is your bills or your expenses, and that's money you owe. So that's money you owe to vendors, contractors, etc. Accounts receivable is your invoices and your income, and that's money owed to you. So that's, you provide a service, you send an invoice to a client, you're waiting to get paid or it gets paid right away. Your accounts receivable will be reflected in accrual basis accounting. The cons of it is that it is more complex. As I mentioned, it's a series of steps. It involves a lot of movement between the chart of accounts. So it has to be with someone, or it has to be implemented by someone who's knowledgeable with some basic accounting skills. Doesn't have to be an accountant, it can be a bookkeeper, or you can take a course and learn, the different steps in order to enter the data. It requires time and attention to detail. So this method of accounting is best used when you're keeping your records up to date. If you're someone who updates your books every 3 months, this could be a little tedious depending on the nature of your business. If it's very easy, you don't have inventory, then you can, but this is something that's meant to be done frequently. Now, once we have our accounting strategy, we've decided whether we're doing cash basis or accrual basis, and we have our books in order, those two pieces, or that process, will lead us to create business financials. So without having our accounting or our books up to date or our information entered in some kind of accounting software, we cannot produce business financials. I cannot tell you guys the number of clients I've met that do everything on Excel. That is great for your own purposes, but it's very difficult to create financial statements on Excel. Then let's get into the definition of what business financials mean. Business financials are documents that demonstrate a company's performance and business activities. Some businesses refer to these documents as financial statements. So if you've never heard about financial statements before, you might have heard of one of these three terms that are coming up. So the most common used are profit and loss, right? I'm sure many of the business owners here have heard that term before. There's a balance sheet, and then there's a cash flow statement. So the profit and loss shows us our income, or the money that's coming in, our sales, and our expenses within a given period. The balance sheet shows assets and liabilities, and we'll explain that in further detail in a few minutes. And our cash flow statement, money coming in and out of the business via various different activities, okay? So let's talk about profit and loss, or also known as the income statement. A profit and loss statement shows a company's income and expenses during a set period. So what that means is that after we've entered all our data, of course, and we've made sure that everything is entered correctly, we can run what's called a profit and loss report. And that's usually done based on the nature of the business and the frequency that it's run. It can be weekly. For example, restaurants run profit and loss on a weekly basis in order to see how they're doing week to week. It can be done monthly. Usually it's done monthly, and it can be done quarterly. It can be done yearly. It really depends on how informed you want to be. A profit and loss can be as detailed as needed by the owner. Some owners like to know, for example, using the restaurant example again, for food, I just don't want to see food. I want to see what was dairy. I want to see what was meat. I want to see what was used for packaging. I want to see what was used for plastic, whatever you want to call it. That can be broken down, and that's via your chart of accounts. or it can be very general. I've seen owners that just want to see, what did I spend and what did I make and what's the bottom number? That's all I care to see. But it is so important to see this frequently. Many business owners make the mistake of just assuming that looking at the bank account, hey, there's money there, I'm okay. Not necessarily, no. A profit and loss is going to really show you how well you're doing. So profit and loss will include your profit, revenue, your gains, expenses, and losses, and it'll help you calculate your net income. So your net income will show you your true number. Just because you made $100,000 last week in sales doesn't mean that that's your income, that's your profit. You got to take that number and subtract it by all that it costs. So if your revenue is higher than your expenses, then you're in the green. You're in a net profit, right? We made $100,000, but we only spent $50,000. We're golden. But if your revenue is lower than expenses, then you have a net loss. So if I made $100,000, but I spent $200,000 last week in expenses, I'm not really making that much money. So I think that kind of explains it in the most basic way. These topics can go on for a long time. So I'm trying to give you guys as much information in a short amount of time, but you can definitely find resources out there that can explain this to you in further detail. Now let's talk about balance sheet. So the balance sheet is something that usually I tell my clients who may have some expertise when it comes to bookkeeping, please do not touch. This is for experts only. This is for your CPA. This is for your accountant. This is for a very seasoned bookkeeper that understands a balance sheet very well, because it is intricate and it really, if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess it up. So please do not touch the balance sheet unless you've been given specific training on it. And a balance sheet will have your assets, your liabilities, and shareholders' equity, among other things. A balance sheet will show what a company owns, right? So that's why it's in green, and what it owes. So for those of you who are not familiar with what an asset is, an asset can be equipment, inventory, real estate that the company owns, accounts receivable. So accounts receivable are those invoices that we send out to customers that have a value, right? So that is an asset. We are hoping, if I have $100,000 worth of invoices out there, that I'm going to collect $100,000. That's our hope, right? If we do, that's another story, but it is something that is considered an asset, your accounts receivable, and it's listed by liquidity. So liquidity means that how fast can we turn that asset into cash, right? So based on how fast we would be able to sell that and get a cash return for it is the order that it's listed in the actual balance sheet. I'm not going to show you guys a balance sheet here, but you can definitely Google a balance sheet for an example and see how it works. You can Google a balance sheet for your specific industry so that you can see what are some of the commonalities between what's on yours or what yours would like, you would like for it to look like. If that makes sense. Liabilities. So liabilities are short and long-term loans. This is also where you would see your accounts payable and any tax liabilities. So for those of you out there that collect sales tax and pay sales tax at whatever frequency you're set up for, this is where you would see that number. You would see the total number of sales tax if it's being documented correctly, of course. Short and long-term loans, that could be SBA loans, business loans, loans that the owners made to the business. All of that would be listed in the balance sheet, all right? And the shareholders' equity would be your assets minus the liabilities. There's a final number to that. That is what shareholder equity would be. Another and the last financial statement we'll review for today is the cash flow statement. So cash flow is money coming in and out of the company through various activities. So there's 3 different types of activities. Operating activities, which includes generating and spending of cash. Investing activities, that's the sale of assets, or purchases, or loans made to third parties. Financing activities, which include generating and spending cash to fund the company, such as paying dividends, etc. Those can all be found in the cash flow statement. So we're seeing how the money is moving in and out of the company. This chart is incredibly useful. I would definitely stay around if you are a little bit confused as to what you should be looking at when reviewing financial statements. You know, what are good signs? What's, you know, something I should be looking out for? This chart kind of shows you specific terms on the left, such as revenue, cost of goods sold, inventory, profit margins, and how it should be based on the state of the business. So a profitable business, for example, revenue should be high and increasing. Non-profitable business would be low and decreasing, and we would see that in the income statement or the profit and loss. There's obviously a lot of other terms here that we won't go into, but this would be a great point of reference whenever you have run your reports, you receive your reports from your accountant, your bookkeeper, and you want to know, what am I looking at? Like what should be some red flags for me? Where exactly would I even find it? This is a great reference point for that. Another key point is that whenever reviewing your financial statements, you always want to look at it from a set period of time because you want to have months to compare. So the good thing about, for example, a profit and loss statement is that you can run it for 3 months. You want to see January, February, March, or you want to see January, February, March of last year in comparison to this year, because every business is seasonal and every business is cyclical. There are ebbs and flows. So if you're analyzing how your business is doing, hopefully in a year's time, you can see the ebbs and flows and the patterns and the synchronicities within your business. If you know, for example, that summer is not a peak time for your business and you need to create other products or have other means of income or pivot or generate ideas for those slower months, you won't really be able to see that unless you're analyzing the numbers. So it's very, very important for you to get comfortable with analyzing your financial statements. Another key reason is that you want to be able to discuss this with your CPA, your financial consultant, your business strategist, and really understand what they're talking about. You want to be able to speak the same language. You may not be a bookkeeper, you may not be an accountant, but you want to be able to understand the terminology. When they're referring to balance sheet and they're showing you numbers, you're going to want to know what different things mean so that you can ask the right questions and that you can make better decisions. So it's super important as a business owner, even if you do not have anything to do with creating these reports, that you understand what they mean. There's power in the numbers, and the numbers do not lie. If someone is presenting to you information and you don't understand what they're presenting, they can show you anything and you really won't be in the know. Another part is that you do not want to wait until it's tax season for you to understand, hey, my business lost a lot of money last year. That's the wrong time to know. We should know year round exactly what's going on within our business, okay? So why are financial statements important? Aside from information for us and for peace of mind, right? Because we don't want to rely checking on the bank account every morning to know that the business is doing well, is that this is what lenders use to see if you are generating enough cash for you to even take out a loan. Luckily, you know, through the SBDC, you can work with a counselor that can help you navigate some of the hurdles of accessing capital. But even so, you need to have your books in order. There's specific things that lenders ask for, whether they're an SBA partner or not. And if you do not have that information readily available, you're stuck in the process. Also, you may be thinking that you need a substantial amount of money. And then once you evaluate the way your business is operating, you may not. So why take on such debt if you really don't need to, if you could just retweak and use the resources that are at your fingertips? So financial statements are incredibly important. They're a big part of making good business decisions. And if you're working with a CPA, if you're working with a bookkeeper, this is something that you should be looking at frequently. So let's talk about some best practices. I know I threw out a lot of information and I definitely want to get to the Q&A, but we're going to talk about some of the key things that I tell my clients. Keep your business and personal finances separate. I cannot say that enough. If you are a business, if you are an entrepreneur, even if you're a one-person show, please have a business bank account. Please have everything separate. When it comes to accounting, and if you're just using one business account or utilizing everything under one bank account, it's going to get messy very fast. You're not going to know what is personal, what is business, and then people will have access to your personal information or your personal finances. You don't want that. So make sure you are keeping your business and personal finances separate. It is incredibly easy nowadays to open a business bank account. There's really no reason not to do that. And also for you to understand your numbers. If everything's under the same umbrella, how are you going to distinguish? You're just going to make it harder for yourself. Second point, use accounting software. There are many, many different platforms and systems. Nowadays, we live in an era of, unlimited technology. There's cloud-based, there's desktop-based, there's things you can do on your phone. The options are really endless. Please utilize accounting software. There's many that we recommend and that we work with, but definitely research the ones that are best tailored for your industry. A good accounting software will have a lot of support for you, and will be easy to use. So please take the time, invest in a good system, find out what works best for your industry, ask around, maybe other colleagues of yours that have the same business or use an accounting system, ask them what they use and do a trial and see if it works for you. Work closely with an accountant. Cannot stress this enough. As a business owner, you need an accountant and you need a lawyer. Good accountant, good lawyer. You don't know what you don't know. And you want to make sure you're working with a professional. I know it's difficult sometimes, especially right now during tax season. Accountants are incredibly busy. It's hard to maybe get a consultation, but please work with an accountant. Please don't try to do things on your own. You're only going to make it harder for yourself. And it's better if you're working with someone else that can guide you and see things in a way that maybe you can't as a business owner. So work with an accountant, closely with an accountant, keep constant communication with your accountant, make sure your accountant understands your business, because not every accountant works with every business. Make sure they're able to give you the support that you need and set you up for success. And also make sure that they know, hey, I'm someone that I want to see my financial statements every month, every year, every whatever you decide to do, but that they are available to do that for you. I know many clients of mine that have worked with accountants trying to save a dollar here and there, and the person never shows up, is charging them every month, and they have no idea what they do. Vet them, make sure that you're getting a professional, and a good accountant is a good investment, just like a good lawyer is a good investment. Make sure you're investing in professionals. Hire a bookkeeper, even if you're savvy. So even if it's someone that's coming in to help you once a month, 2 sets of eyes are better than one. You want someone to be able to work on it and for you to review it, or vice versa. If you're going to be the one maintaining the books every month, you want to have a second set of eyes, because we're human. We make mistakes. There's clerical errors that can happen. And if we're only auditing ourselves, we would never catch those mistakes. So make sure you hire a bookkeeper or train someone on your staff to do some bookkeeping tasks so that you can create some kind of auditing process. That's also very important. Moving on to the next point of establishing internal controls, which is very similar to auditing. You want to make sure that there is clear processes for everything you do when it comes to accounting. So like I said, using the example of being audited, what would happen if certain things were requested from you? As the business owner, you shouldn't be looking to your bookkeeper to answer that question. You should know that answer. You should know, how do I, get my vendor list? Who am I paying? What did we pay last year? What am I spending? you should be able to answer those questions readily, because what if the bookkeeper disappears? What if your accountant closes down or retires? You don't want to rely on other people to know more about your business than you do. Know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. If you've attended a webinar with me, I say it many, many times. Please know your numbers. I know it can be scary, especially when starting a business, because most of the time, it's not numbers we want to see, right? We have expectations and maybe our numbers are not showing what we're looking for, but know your numbers. Know your numbers just like you know your numbers at home. Make sure you're understanding what your business is doing. Don't avoid it. Educate yourself, look to resources, work with a counselor, work with a professional, really get acclimated with your business. And lastly, tax plan year round. Please do not wait for tax season to understand that you have a tax liability or find out you have a tax liability, or to understand that your business did not do well. I know business owners out there are wearing 100 different hats, are really not maybe available to look at these numbers and don't want to be bothered maybe to some extent, but please do. There's nothing worse than finding out you have a tremendous tax bill that you do not have the funds for. If you're tax planning year round, you'll be ready. And then it'll help you also be ready for the years to come. So that is my presentation for today. I want to get into the Q&A because I know we ran over a little bit this morning. Thank you, everybody. I know that's a lot of information. I hope to get to as many questions as possible.
All right. So yeah, Ciara, you covered a lot of information. I mean, look, you've done so many webinars with us. And for those of you who don't know, all of our webinars are recorded. These webinars are recorded from beginning to finish, of course, and they are available in our video library. And Ciara has done so many great accounting and QuickBooks and different webinars for us in the past year. So you definitely want to check it out because they're all related, right? Like, a lot of the terms that you're using in one or the other related. Please go check out our channels, our YouTube channel. Stick around. We do have a couple of minutes and we'll go over the Q&A. Again, if you want to access the presentation, this is just a reminder. I don't want to beat the same drum again and again, but just a reminder, Ciara's presentation is available if you finish the survey. So let's get to the questions. I'll go over them in the order that we received them, Ciara. So from Anonymous, we received, what accounting program or software would you recommend to a small business online just starting, offering digital services such as graphic design, marketing, etc.?
Okay, so if you've been on my webinars before, I am a big QuickBooks fan. I have been working with QuickBooks for a very long time, all versions of it. I am experienced in a variety of industries, and I feel like it's the one system that can be implemented no matter how big or how small the business is. They have a desktop version and they have an online version. Specifically for my consultants out there or service-related professionals, it's just easier to manage. It's also very user-friendly. You can use your iPad, you can use your cell phone, you can create invoices like in 2 seconds, send it to a customer, they open it, you can see it, that they opened it. I mean, there's so many integrations as well. If you work with Square, or if you use any other third parties, MailChimp, like I love QuickBooks, everybody knows that, but there are many, many other platforms out there, not just QuickBooks. I would say just Google, do some research, find out what's best for your particular industry and also for your particular budget, right? Because everyone has a specific amount that they can allocate towards these kind of expenses. So make sure that it's something that you're comfortable with, and look at tutorials online. There's, YouTube University. That's the best thing. Look at someone in your industry answering that same question that you just asked, see what they do and see if that's something you're comfortable with.
Exactly. Solid answer. We always want to say that our presenters can always have, and if you trust, I think someone mentioned how can we hire you? So listen, our audience trusts you a lot, Ciara. So if you want to go with Ciara's suggestions, please remember it's a suggestion and it's a recommendation. NJSBDC does not ever endorse or is sponsored to endorse any type of software, not just for accounting, but for marketing or like legal advice or anything. We don't endorse or sponsor anything, but Ciara's judgment, man, please Google it and go with it if you'd like.
Yeah, and that you're putting I see some questions in the chat. Please put it in the Q&A box so we don't miss it, because there's
yes,
a lot of
please.
participants here today. Thank you all so much. But I want to make sure that we get to answer your questions.
All right. So Sir Finch asked, what will be the best solution for a consulting and property management company? I'm not sure what that is in reference to, but their follow-up question is, what are some investment accounts for a business? So,
well, I mean, can't really answer that for you, but I think maybe your question is what would be the best accounting method for a property management company or something of that nature. I would say accrual, because if you're property management, you're working with various vendors, you're probably buying cleaning supplies, you probably have contractors, payroll, etc. So accrual would be best. As far as what system, again, do your research. I know for property management, there's systems like Yardi that have partners that work directly with whatever software you're using for property management. So find somebody that has a partnership, or find software that has a partnership with an existing system you're utilizing. That's also really important when choosing accounting software. You want the information to talk to each other, so that way there's less data entry. So make sure any accounting software is in alignment with the software you're using, the CRM you're using, whatever it may be based on your industry. Make sure that the systems talk, because if not, you're going to have to take the information from one system and manually enter it into the other one. Depending on the number of staff you have, that might be doable. But if you're a one-person show, you want to have ease. You want to use technology to your advantage. So make sure you're doing your research on that.
exactly. Perfect. All right. So Ian Richardson asks, as a sole proprietor operating an LLC, do you recommend filing your federal tax returns for your business with your personal tax returns, or should they be filed separately?
Depends on, and that's a question for your accountant, because everyone's scenario is a little different. There's many variables to that, dependence, your income, etc. But most sole proprietors or consultants file it with their personal. It really depends on your situation. So I wish I could give you a solid answer on that, but you're going to have to ask your accountant.
Yep. And Anonymous asked, when is the best time to hire an accountant? And how can you hire one if you don't have the funds to do so? Their follow-up question is there a website or a source that you can go to find an accountant / bookkeeper in your county? Good question.
Yes. So the easiest way to find an accountant or network with an accountant or word of mouth, obviously, is a great way. Ask people, business owners, if they're happy with their accountant, if they could recommend them. Your local chamber of commerce also will give you a listing of accountants in your county, in your area. So that would be a great resource for you as well. And Yelp, Google,
Reviews.
Call. Some accountants, really good accountants, aren't taking new clients. That's sometimes you got to do a little bit of investigative work, but it's not impossible. Not impossible. And when hiring a bookkeeper, if you're utilizing certain systems, for example, QuickBooks, they have a bookkeeping service as an add-on. Ask people in your industry, who do they use? Are they happy with them? That'll probably get you the best, safest, quickest answer. Ask somebody.
Yeah. Referrals go a long way. Yeah. Delphine, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Where is the best resources for QuickBooks training? I know you mentioned YouTube, Ciara. Anywhere else?
YouTube has a ton of free resources. I mean, a ton of classes. I would always to best utilize your time, make sure you're using keywords that are related to your industry. If
Yes.
you're trucking, you don't want to see restaurant accounting, you want to see trucking accounting, like make sure you are using keywords. But YouTube is a great resource. There's definitely other courses that you can purchase online, videos that you can watch, if depending on your style of learning, because we all learn differently. You may need a professional, or you could probably do it on your own. It really depends on your own style of learning, but YouTube is a great source, definitely a great source.
Awesome. All right. So we have a lot of questions to address, but I'll just quickly go through them because I know Ciara has a deadline, a commitment. So would you recommend, Anonymous asks, would you recommend a separate CPA and CFO services, or can it be one and the same person?
It depends on the business, right? Or in the size of the business. And so many other things, right? Most of the time the CPA is separate for auditing purposes. It's probably best if your CFO is your CPA who's auditing the CFO. I mean, it's just a part of internal controls. I would say it's best to always have two different people, one that's completely not related to the day-to-day operations, meaning someone who's not in office. Personally, and in my world, our CPA is separate than the CFO. So it really, but it depends on your business and what you feel you can do.
Gotcha. Okay. Marcia Hewitt, this is a cool question. Are WhatsApps, Zelle, Bitcoin, etc., recognized in cash and accrual accounting methods and by the IRS?
Depends. Short answer, it really depends on the amount that you're holding in said assets. So, yes and no.
Depends. It's one of those depends type of things.
No, it really there's so many factors to that. So we could do a whole webinar
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, ask your, it's a great question, especially now when so many people post-pandemic or during the pandemic have begun investing, but you're usually investing, for the most part, 95% are investing as individuals, not as businesses. So that's something to take into account.
Right. Okay. We have two questions that are very similar, asking the same thing. Oscar and Stephanie both asked, excuse me, how much is fair or average to pay monthly for an accountant? Similar to Stephanie asked, what's a good monthly amount to spend for a bookkeeper and an accountant?
It really depends. I mean, I think the best way to answer this is you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So a seasoned bookkeeper will be far more expensive or a larger investment than someone who just started, right? And it also depends on the complexity of your books. If it's something very simple, then you can get, I know many clients that have a subscription kind of a service, and it's very basic, but they don't get monthly reports, they don't get financial statements, they don't get someone to talk to them. No one's reviewing their chart of accounts, no one's checking for errors. It's just, you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing. I know many people too, clients I've worked with that have gotten accountants from other states, or, someone who, promised them the world for $3, falls off the face of the earth, and they need financial statements to apply for a loan, and the person's nowhere to be found. You get what you pay for. So vet these people, of course. You want to make sure it's someone you're comfortable speaking with, someone professional, someone who is good with communicating. If you're talking to a lawyer and an accountant and there's 1,000 typos in their email, bad professionals, okay? We're OCD people, okay? So you want to make sure that the people that you're dealing with are presenting themselves in the most professional manner. and that are taking the time to really not only do the work on your behalf, but educate you first and foremost. A good professional will always want to educate you, will want you to understand why things look the way they look and why things need to be done the way that they're done. If someone's just taking your money and just doesn't even want to talk to you, move on. They're not worth it.
Yep, little things matter, and initial conversations, how they go, those definitely matter too.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to be mindful of your time, Ciara, so we'll we'll end our Q&A there.
Yeah.
And as always, you're such a good presenter. You always have such good not to pick my favorites, but you always have questions and you always answer them. So I think our audience always loves all the accounting webinars and things. So please show your interest. This is for audience. If you have questions, we always, your survey answers matter a lot. We just don't do them to do them. If you express your interest in QuickBooks and accounting and, how do I do this and do that, bookkeeping, we keep that in mind. And that's how we plan our webinars. So if you want more of Ciara, you just got to let us know. And, and Ciara can't be your bookkeeper and accountant through NJSBDC because she is our specialty consultant and we don't share her. But just so you know, if you would like counseling from Ciara, you just have to request no cost counseling as shown on your screen. Just point your camera there. It'll direct you to our counseling site, and just let us know in the little box that'll pop up if you want to speak to Ciara, if you want to do a session with her. Just let us know and we'll point you to her. Yeah, Ciara, I'll just finish off on my end. Please feel free to, let us know your final thoughts.
Sure. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. I'm glancing through the chat. I appreciate you all taking the time to learn about this, to be here, to be present. Use the resources. Please utilize the SBDC, your local regional office. Counselors like myself will be more than happy to help you. We're here to be of service and to help you be successful. I love doing these. This is such important work to me. So I am grateful, and I will see you guys next time for whatever our next webinar will be.
Thank you, Ciara. I'll just move on quickly. I know I don't want to take up a lot of our audience's time. So this is our upcoming webinars. Please follow us on our socials, our Eventbrite. Our next event webinar is on Thursday, March 16th. If you want to scan with your phone, please do so there. But you can see all of this on our socials, announcements, things like that on Eventbrite and Facebook, Instagram, the usual. The next webinar will be with Reina Valenzuela, who is one of our senior consultant, and with Lauren Platts, international trade specialist with U.S. Commercial Services. The webinar title will be Small Business Marketing Strategies to Go Global. Same usual time on Thursday next week. Please remember to share this with whoever you think might find it useful, because this has been part of our exporting series. And if you missed it in the beginning, we have helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow, start, and thrive. No cost small business consulting, training, and events starting at zero, just like this one that you attended, and exclusive small business resources. Go to our website, njsbdc.com, and you'll find great information there. This has been your host, Uzma Sheikh. I will be signing off. You have a good day. Bye-bye. Thank you for attending.